Welcome back. You know what time it is? Just look at the corner of your computer. You guys keep asking great questions, and I'm happy to answer them. This really makes this easy, which I appreciate, because I don't know if you can tell, but there's quite a lot going on in the shop, as always. But that said, keep contacting me. I love getting your emails. I love getting your calls. I love when you stop by, too, so please come on in. What are the differences between Indian and Brazilian rosewood? Well, let's get the elephant in the room. If we're speaking of endangered species, the price. Indian rosewood currently, depending on where you go, is $200 to $400 a set. Brazilian rosewood, depending on where you go, is somewhere between $2,000 and $5,000 a set or more. Sonically, I think that the Brazilian rosewood has a little bit more color. It's got a little bit more warmth. It's got a little bit more brightness. So you get warm and bright at the same time. Whereas the Indian, it's a little bit of less of both. But that said, you can even go onto other videos that I've done with other people, and blindfolded, it's hard to say. Visually, I love Brazilian rosewood. It's probably one of the prettiest woods in the world to me, and depending on the set. And I like to choose pretty woods. You can see those especially on my Guitar 122, which I'll have linked below. But that said, I prefer building with Brazilian as a builder. It bends nicer, it works nicer, it scrapes nicer. The Indian rosewood, it's really nice. The old growth stuff it works very nicely. It's easy to use. Some of the newer stuff, the grains are a little bit wide and it bends pretty easily, and maybe a little too easily sometimes, maybe a little bit. And I find that the Indian can have a little bit more fight in each piece. So, but that said, I bend over a hot iron. I don't use one of the heat blanket and torture devices and modern stuff. I pay no attention to this. I prefer to not have the modern stuff, but that's just me. Speaking of woods, what do I like? Palo Escrito, Zercote, and have I used them, etc. I think that the Palo Escrito is a little bit, I don't know, to me visually, it's a punky. To me visually, it's not a beautiful wood, but that said, the sound is good. So, I like it. I've used it. Let's see, Zercote. I just finished up a guitar and actually have, looking around, 2 guitars with Zercote. The Zercote is an absolutely stunning wood. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. It's so much. It's superlative in every way, but it cracks really bad. Like really, really bad. Like both guitars that I have here have many cracks. I think on one of them I ended up fixing about 25 or 30 cracks on each side, just because it's such a delicate wood. And that's nothing to do with age or anything like that. It's just the way that the tree grows and the structure of it. If you are going to use it as a builder, I would say, make sure you flood it to make sure that you get all those internal cracks taken care of. And as a buyer, I don't know if I'd be buying it as a new guitar with the understanding that it may crack, but ask your builder about that. Have I used them? I've used the Palo Escrito, and I have not used the Zercote because of the aforementioned cracking problem. Great question. Love that. The next question is, I heard that Stradivarius used blocks of cherry wood inside of his violins. Would making the braces and classical guitar form benefit this? Thank you for your videos. Well, thank you for watching the videos. I truly appreciate that. For those who don't know, I am a trained violin maker. I have a diploma in violin making. And yes, Stradivarius sometimes would use cherry. Sometimes he would use spruce. Sometimes he would use willow, and that was far more common. In a violin, the corner blocks are just that. They are there merely to hold stuff together. It wasn't really an acoustical reason. It was a weight reason, as well as it was easy to put a nail through, because if we remember correctly, the original Stradivarius violins had a neck put on with 3 nails, not the modern dovetail joint that violin makers use now. That said, almost every single Stradivarius out there has had new corner blocks put in, but they're still calling them all original. A lot of them don't have the same neck angle, even though they're calling it all original. Most of them don't have those same graduated top and back thicknesses, even though they're saying that they're all original. And most of them still don't have the same finish on it, even though we call it original finish. Take this all with a grain of salt. In reality, Stradivarius violins, and I've played many of them, are exceptional instruments because they are able to take well to the modifications of modernizing, is that the right word? Yeah, to our modern standards. The use of cherry or willow or spruce, as far as us makers go, can be the difference of what's right here when we grab versus necessarily a sonic idea. Sometimes a pragmatic wood is just a pragmatic wood, to play off of the Sigmund Freud thing, cigars and all. Next question, does a cutaway really affect the sound? What about laminated back and sides? Naturally, their acoustic properties are different from solid wood, but unlike violin, most guitarists put the back against their body, muffling the sound. So is there a significant impact on resulting sound of the guitar? Ooh, that's like almost 3. Okay, so let's start from the top. Does the cutaway affect the sound? Yes, plain and simple, yes. You are losing the air volume of the instrument. The guitar body has a specific amount of air inside of it, and if you take away that air volume, you change the tap tone. And this is as simple as holding up the guitar and tapping in the middle of the back. You can hear the difference between a cutaway and a standard full body guitar. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? That's up to you. Is it worth the trade-off? For me, in my building, I generally say no. I don't like to build cutaways. That said, I think that they can be really, really pretty sometimes if they're done right. And that's a hard thing to do. I think that there's other better options for the access, but that's a you thing. Second question is, what about laminated back and sides? It depends on how it's done. Ramirez uses a laminated side on their 1A models starting in the 60s. So that's Brazilian rosewood and cypress. And I think what they wanted to do was they wanted to have a large body, but they wanted to have a smaller vibrational area. And if you look at the corner blocks plus the side and the side, you actually get a very, very small guitar. If you are laminating the sides to get a cheap wood, so you're using veneer, and veneer for those layers, that's a completely different story. It can be good, it can be bad. I've seen some really great laminated side and back guitars where they use a wood of similar hardness as the core, but maybe a little bit cheaper, and that's pretty good. I know that some Japanese factories will do that, and whatever wood they use in the middle is nice. I actually cut one in half, and it was fun to cut a guitar in half, and maybe we'll do that later on this year. That said, the center wood was some pale white stuff, but it was about the same density as the Brazilian, so it sounded really, really good. I have also seen really, really expensive. I know that a lot of double top makers are in the pursuit of lightening the guitar, so they will take like a veneer of Brazilian, put it over balsa core, and then another veneer of Brazilian, so that way you get the appearance and the thickness and the rigidity, but you don't get all the mass of having like a 3mm back in balsa, or in the solid wood. And that has worked out really, really well because, you know, those are reactive. Now, to get your third question, by putting it against their body, are you muffling the sound? I think that a lot of the great players, if you really, really watch them, they aren't just hugging the guitar to their body. They're contacting the body up here and at this corner. So if they're leaning forward and being active, it's not like, you know, we're just kind of holding on to the guitar like this. Yes, it does make a difference in the sound if you have good posture. And, you know, I've watched a lot of guitarists play, surprise, surprise, and a lot of the great ones are leaning into it because it means that they're more engaged into the music. That's not to say that if you lean back, but that you aren't engaged, but, you know, I'm just going with general trends here. Great questions, by the way. How do I create the doming on my tops? I use 2 methods simultaneously, okay? First, I glue on a flat surface. It's a piece of melamine that I cut a guitar shape out of, and I do all my gluing on that. What I do is I use hide glue, the hot animal hide glue, not the stuff in the squeeze bottle, because it doesn't do it. But if you use a good, strong high glue and you put just enough weight on it to hold it in place for 5, 10, maybe 12 minutes, not too much more than that, and then you take it off and let it dry naturally without being held down into place. As that glue contracts, it will actually pull the top into the dome. And if you take like a Taurus 7-fan bracing pattern and do that with it, you get exactly the doming that is found on a Taurus top. That's part of it. The second part is I like to dome the bottom of my bridges to give it a little bit of extra suck. Yeah, well, around here we embrace the suck. So as we suck that top up into the bridge, we're putting a little bit of extra dome into it, and that is for tonal purposes. That said, you don't have to do it. A Ramirez 1A guitar, and I refer to them because they're kind of ubiquitous. Those bridges are dead flat across the bottom. So it wasn't part of the building sound profile that they were going for. And if you listen to a top, and if you hold it this way and give it a tap, you can hear how it sounds at rest. It's also, in this case, dealing with this nodal pattern. The other way that I test is by tapping this way, which is essentially this nodal pattern. But let's see if I can get it to sound with a little bit of a dome. So I'm just putting a light dome. You hear that? And that's just putting dome across it. So you can change and adjust the sound of your guitar by changing and adjusting the dome of your bridge or with the braces. So that's a little cool trick. Thank you. That's actually a really cool question. All right, question next. As we're coming up to the final question, and if you didn't get yours answered here today, stay tuned because they're coming up. Maybe. Probably. Most likely. I like to answer these. They're fun. But also, I do love the fact that you guys have subscribed so much and that you guys are watching and that you're reaching out. It really means all the world to me. With that said, I'm going on to my final and probably most controversial question of the day, because wood deserves controversy. I understand why you don't like Nomex double core tops. What about balsa double core tops? Yeah, I don't like those either, for a very different reason. To me, Nomex, I don't like the sound, I don't like working on them. It has its own sets of issues, and I've spoken ad nauseum about that. Balsa core tops, my biggest issue with them is that they aren't necessarily lighter. When I have done A/B testing and I, cut out a piece of wood, dressed it off to a very specific size, and then also did the exact same thing with a balsa core, same thickness, same size, it was actually heavier going to a balsa core than a standard top. And what happens is that you're moving the mass around. So you've weakened the structure, and you have two woods fighting against each other, maybe three woods, depending on how you balsa core. They're fighting against each other for the humidity expansion and contraction. Kind of the same problem with the Nomex double tops. As much as we try as guitarists to keep everything consistent and even with the humidity, I'll admit it kind of gets away from you sometimes. And here we've worked really, really hard to make sure that it remains at 50% relative humidity all year round. Doesn't matter if it's negative 10 degrees outside or 110 degrees outside, as we had last year. Our humidity stays at 50% relative humidity in here. At my house, I'm not as good about it. And, part of it is because I don't keep as many guitars at home. Part of it is I have doors, I have kids, I have dogs. And my kids and my dogs like to go outside a lot. So as they're running out and in and so on and so forth, that every time you open that door to your house, you get that little blast of cold. You get that little cold air that comes in with the humidity that has, now expanded up. So basically, in the winter here, it's dry. And you're going to get that humidity movement. And, I know in Chicago, it's hard to get your house above 35, 40% relative humidity in the winter using the home humidifiers. So you've got that supplemental council humidifier rattling away. And there's some really great ones. I'll link to some in the description. At least the ones that I use at my house as the extras. But when you're dealing with the balsa core, you've got that slippage. And in this business, it's not if the glue fails, it's when the glue fails. And it could be 5 years, it could be 500 years, but all glue joints will fail eventually, so it's how repairable is it? And if it's something, I'm gonna grab this guitar here. If this glue joint fails, I can glue it because it's right here. If a brace fails, I can glue it because I can reach in and grab it. If a back brace fails, I can get glue underneath it. If a layer inside of the top fails, there's no way to get to it. The glue just won't get to it. The only way to get to it is to drill little itty bitty holes or poke little holes and turn the top into Swiss cheese and hope that you got it. So for me, I don't like it because it raises a big set of long-term problems that, while I'm not as young as I used to be, I still have a pretty good warranty going forward on all of my guitars. And that is why I don't like balsa core guitars. I've heard plenty that I loved. I thought that they were fantastic, big, bold, powerful. And I've seen the glue joints fail on them. Yeah, and these were guitars that I have absolutely loved and enjoyed listening to and enjoyed playing. And for them to basically be done, I don't want that in my life. I don't want guitars that are disposable. I like guitars and instruments that last forever, beyond my lifetime. So that's why I don't like balsa core as well. With that said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time. I've got some goodies coming up that you'll really like, even if I can't speak for that matter. I'll see you next time. Bye. Oh, don't go away. Don't go away yet. I have this video picked out and this one just for you. Check this one out. You'll like it.